It's showing off.
Nope, it's on. Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's the Comic Book Roundtable. You notice it's not entitled the Comic Book Roundtable because I'm trying to figure out, is YouTube just hate me because it's tired of me using the Comic Book Roundtable as a title? So we're going to do the show. Hopefully, if you're somebody who comes on and watches the show, you don't think this isn't the Comic Book Roundtable. And you come on and you watch, you talk with us, you enjoy it, whatnot. And then after the show's over with, I'll go back in and edit it. And I will edit it so it says the Comic Book Roundtable later. Because I'm just suspicious that it's either somebody hates us and flags us every Saturday when I fire up the show, or YouTube hasn't figured out its analytics or whatever, however that works, and it keeps catching the title in its magic web and then shuts the show down. How come it doesn't shut down when it's on Rez's channel? I don't know. Is she special? I'm not, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, I'm very special.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. And I'm coming off of a week of being sick. If you noticed there wasn't a show last week, is because I was kind of close to deathly ill on Saturday. By Sunday, I could not talk at all. So I'm still a little scratchy and hoarse. So if I start losing my voice, that's what it is. Rez is not feeling very well either. So we're just going to kind of muddle through this. Maybe young Fred will show up at some point. He wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not, but if he shows up, we'll get him on so he can talk some comics too. We decided that we're not gonna put categories. We're not gonna do the Marvel, DC, independent book. We're just gonna talk some comics because we don't know how long we're gonna last before we decide we're sick and can't go on. So we're just gonna be talking some books. Good to see you, Sean. Shine Reyes is here. Checking out the show.
Love Sean.
The mad artist. Need to get him on some real books, right?
Most definitely. And
get him on some cool stuff. At any rate, so let's talk some comics. What do you want to talk first? What was the book of the week? Did you have a book of the week that you can remember in your drugged stupor of cold medicine?
I know, right? Evolution for sure. That was my favorite book. Yeah, yes. And of course, anything with Keating on it, I have to read it.
Yeah,
mandatory. But this scientist is completely unhinged. Okay, that was the best.
His name's Abe, right? Isn't his name like Abe?
I was thinking Abrams or Abe. Or yeah, Abraham. Yeah. I was just thinking to myself, okay, so this story is dealing with mankind pretty much evolving over a series of time. And we have several vignettes throughout the comic where we're encountering people in their evolutionary state. Last issue was a boy who had adapted these gills, I believe, on his neck or was his chest or something.
It was under his armpits.
On his armpit, yes, he had developed. Yeah. And we also encountered the one girl who was able to secure film, like a certain type of film, for a rich neighbor of hers that she's known all her life. And they encountered a beast there. We also encountered a nun who, encountered a German man who was transforming and was trying to kill himself, and he wanted forgiveness before he did so. And then we later find out that she somehow got the bug to evolve into what he was becoming. And so this next issue, which is issue 2, we're seeing more of that follow-up from those previous vision.
Right.
Yeah, we see her.
We start out with a nun, and she makes some comment. In this, she makes a comment. She is picking at this thing and doesn't know what to do, and she's like, Lord, tell me what I'm supposed to do, kind of a thing. And she ends up going to the morgue, or where they're holding the body at the church, because the German man did kill himself, and she's like asking him, did you see the sin too?
Yep.
So she clearly is kind of trapped in the she's looking at this through the lens of religion. And I don't know what she's seen. We haven't been told what she's seen, but she believes that she has seen something that has done this to her.
Yes.
I don't think that's actually the case, but
yeah. Well, it's just her way of trying to rationalize what's happening to her, which I really appreciate that, because we have this religious aspect and we have this scientific aspect, and we have the in-between where we're not too sure where it leans. And so we're going to be just the absence of both those elements. And that's what I really appreciate about this comic, because it's bringing in the perspective of different various groups. And so it makes for a very, very good story. It's not one-sided. It's not, throwing one particular, like I said, perspective in your face. It's kind of coming from a roundabout way where it's including all groups, and trying to help you come to a conclusion on what is this thing? What is this evolution? Why are these people changing? What has made this occur? Is it religious? Is it scientific? We don't know just yet, but we are close to getting there. So this book is just so good, and I love that Christopher Sebela is on it. I love that Joe Keating's on it. I just love that there's a litany of creators that I really enjoy reading and looking at their works. I don't know, it's a story, and it seems to get better and better. That one part of the ending where the girl had the film, where she left her rich neighbor, and she exposes the film and sees that there's footage on there of one of the evolutionary beings, tearing ripping someone to shreds, and then she thinks it's special effects. When in actuality, we know as a reader that it's actually a real creature that was once human, that had evolved at one point. So very, very good book. I'm very curious as to see what the next issue entails. I really enjoyed this. It was just top book for me.
Yeah. Yes. The art's awesome in it. I love this opening page. That splosh of blood and goblet of flesh and whatnot hitting the water, and then of course this is kind of like would be it drifting down, but it's also is the rest of the art. Just a smart opening page on it, and I like it I like that. Love the color work in it that Boyd is doing.
The tonal colors that they used.
Yeah, and despite the fact it's got 4 writers on it, it doesn't feel like 4 writers are on it. I mean, each of them are writing their own segment, but clearly they all have a good vision of what the world is like, so it doesn't feel like we're being.
And who's writing the one with Abe, the scientist Abe in it? Because that's my favorite one so far. Because he has come from a point where this man was so successful. He was like the top of his class. I mean, full ride PhD.
That is James Amos. That is James Amos is writing that part. Right. And that guy comes from the CDC. He actually, in this issue, he's calling the CDC up. He's got a friend in the CDC going, hey, this thing's happening. And they're like, you're crazy.
Yeah. Like whatever, humbug, and I'm really enjoying that element, because this guy he's become so unhinged, like I said earlier, that he is willing to take a live human, dissect them, like drug them, dissect them, clean up the mess he's made, just to go ahead and prove that this disease is real.
He's walking around hunting this park, looking for the people that are the evolved. So he wants to capture one, tear it apart, tear the person apart, and then clean it all up like it never happened, and then he'll have the evidence and he won't be convicted of any crimes, kind of a thing. I mean, he is very dedicated, and and if we as the reader weren't seeing the other stuff that's happening in this, we would think he was crazy, like the other doctor friends think he's crazy. He's this obsessed guy. He's literally taking what looks like coffee, he's dropping some stuff in it, mixing it up, and then taking eyedroppers and dropping it into his eyes to stay awake. He hasn't slept for days, so I don't know if he's like mixing cocaine or something with his coffee, and then doing eye drops. I don't know, but it's
very intense.
Yes,
very intense. I mean, you know what though? When you really look back and think, these stories have to go this way. You have to have this one character that's so intense, so passionate about what they're trying to convey to their audience, that it helps build the story more, and also helps drive the story forward. Yeah. So this character Abe is a very important element to this book, because he's driving this story and propelling it to a fashion where we're gonna have a great climax. Issue. So
yeah, well, and he's definitely the person that's kind of giving us the facts. I mean, because he's the science-based person. He talks about how the fact it takes a really long time for evolution to work. He talks about some stuff that has evolved, that mice have there's some mice who become resistant to commercial poisons. There's some other stuff he talks about, being, that are slow, so everything is evolving, kind of a deal. So he's given us some scientific facts to kind of base this around. Of course, he's also talking about an extinction level event happening with this whole stuff too, that this may be the end of man, as we know it, kind of stuff and whatnot. It's intense. It's cool. I love it. That all the elements of it. It's like I said, it's a really good read for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely my top book also this week for sure. Excuse my coughing. Another book I really loved, just because it was a lot of fun. Love the art in it. Hellboy. I love every year Hellboy puts out some sort of winter sort of a special. Lots of times it's little short stories or whatever. This one is, how do you say that?
Krampenschnacht.
There you go.
Yeah.
Somebody who can speak some German. So it's Hellboy, Hellboy meets Krampus, right?
Yeah, Krampus.
Now my issue, I've got the variant cover. I've got the Mike Mignola cover. I know the regular cover is an Adam Hughes cover, which probably looks awesome too. I'm just always a sucker for the Mignola covers. But the art inside this is brilliant. You don't very often do you get the treat of Adam Hughes doing sequential art.
Exactly.
He's mostly a cover artist, right? I mean, that's what you see him. You see him doing beautiful girls. That's what he does, right?
Exactly.
But
nice change, wasn't it?
Yes, but it's all, I mean, just so gorgeous. I mean, clearly his art, as soon as you see it, it's him. But the guy knows how to do sequential art. It's not like he doesn't know how to do it. He clearly does. Look at that.
Kill me. I'm trying. I'm trying. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a simple story. There's nothing really complex about it. Krampus is tired of walking around. He hears there's this Hellboy guy who's from hell. Krampus believes he's from hell. Send me back. It's as simple as that, right?
Let me find out the goat that was convinced that he was the devil.
Right. Right. And by the time he kills it,
man,
that whole sequence of him shifting back, though, of him getting stabbed and slowly evolving back into just being this possessed goat or whatever, that was awesome. No, it was beautiful book, beautiful art. I mean, it's just some really good stuff. But like I said, I'm impressed because I was really thinking, okay, he just does cover art because he does beautiful cover art. But just because you can do covers doesn't mean you actually know how to do sequential art. That you can actually do a comic book. There's a huge difference between the two, and clearly he knows what he's doing. So I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was just a gorgeous book, a lot of fun.
You know what? There was one panel in there that bothered me towards the end, where we had the disembodied kind of like there was the head that was completely. It was a person talking.
Oh yes, it's Bartholomew. Yeah,
I like
right.
it.
Right.
I was like, what the is this?
Yeah,
like,
his head is floating, and they should have put his body in there.
Thank you. That's what I was mad about.
Right, because he does do some of that where instead of actually like here, this would technically be two panels because these two guys are having this is Krampus in his human body, Hellboy. They're actually talking to each other, but nobody has a conversation
like that facing the audience.
Right. But it's just a way of having two panels but not having it. This works. This works to have that conversation because we get to set up the shows that we're right. We get these other visual cues that let us know they're facing each other. So this is fine. But you're right. This kind of, this shot of like the living room as they're telling, because that's the other thing about the winter specials. They're always telling a Christmas story. This is Hellboy telling this story. And so it's like the library, the Christmas tree, there they all are. They're technically way back here sitting on the sofa, but just having this one head of him is weird. You are right. That is not it's not a good thing. So
and when I saw that, I was immediately taken out from that point.
Yeah,
I checked out a little.
Like a weird talking head in this little mug. So
yeah, like, is he a ghost? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
I realized he's not a ghost, clearly. So I was like, this is too much.
Yeah. I agree. That was a weird shot. They should have put his body in it. They would have put the rest of his torso in there. Then I wouldn't have cared. But yeah, just being a floating head in a mug was kind of strange. Definitely agreed. but I still liked it all. It was
I loved it. You know, I'm really into anything that has Krampus in it.
Yep. Looks like Mike's here, Sergeant America. He's hoping to watch as long as the hoodlums that he's watching don't burn anything down or whatever. And the masked panthers of this. Hello, sir. And I'm not Longfellow. Longfellow's a poet. I'm Oddfellow. I'm not really a poet, so I'm odd, not long. But at any rate, let's see here. I think I have a message from Fred. Okay, I'm going to send an invite to young Fred. He'll be here in a few minutes. Let me do that. What other book you want to talk?
Let's see. I kind of want to talk a book from last week, if you can.
Sure. Heck yeah.
Last issue of Royal City. It's just the one book I wanted to talk about because I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, again, very, very good issue. I like seeing how Tommy reacted towards the when he was smoking reefer with his brother. And
right.
How he was really overanalyzing the movements of this one girl that was next to him in a car. We have him and Tara's relationship.
Well, sure, she's the older girl, right?
Yeah, the older girl that he's really into, and you know how he's just freaking out in front of her, and she's the only one that kind of sympathizes with him. It tells them to stop the car and let him out, and just let him walk on his own. And we see that he suffers this depression and anxiety, but also he's suffering from the unknown of knowing what this tumor is doing to him, and how much it's really getting to him to the point where I think this is what led up to his death. You know, like I think there's much more to his death than just him. I believe was drowning or something. It's much more than that.
Yeah, he drowned. That's all indications we have is that he drowned. He walked off into that little piece of the river and drowned. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just a lot going on. It makes you kind of wonder. Like I said, I think I mentioned it before when we first started reading this. Was it some kind of Virginia Woolf kind of drowning? You know, where rocks were put in the pockets and laid down and just took a little rest. You know, this book is just so good. I love Royal City. I love the familiar elements to it, where we're dissecting the family unit and we're seeing who each person is and how they developed into who they are, what got them there, where they're going now, and what is in store for them. I just really, like I said, really enjoy the dynamics that we're being exposed to. I appreciate learning about what Tommy is suffering from. I love the little Easter egg kind of things of Nirvana, because I'm a huge Nirvana fan. It's like one of my favorite bands. So, you know, I'm just really, really into that. And I was like, this is just awesome. And then it also mentions Slayer Repentless in there. They can't be Nirvana. No, that's fun. That was all funny.
No one's gonna know these bands like Nirvana in 10 years or whatever. Yes.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed this book, Royal City, and I'm glad that I continue on reading it, because it's really, like I said, it's somber, and at times it's very, very melancholy throughout. Like, there's never a time where you read that book and you feel happy. You always feel melancholy, at the least, at the slightest. And I still can appreciate that read because it's so freaking raw and real, you know. And
well, one of the things that makes Jeff Lemire a good storyteller, at least with this kind of a story, is some of the stuff you were talking about. We concentrate on the main focus of the story. You know, what's happening to Tommy, what's the main things that are happening to each of these characters and whatnot. But then there's all the little subtle stuff that I don't know that's going to be a major thing, but they're just part of human life that we get. Like his, you know, he's going with his brother and his brother's girlfriend, and he's in the backseat with his brother girlfriend, clearly the older girl. She's attractive, you know, that tension of maybe it's just my own personal experience of how close is my hand to that girl's hand, you know, all that stuff that as a storyteller could be left out, right? I mean, that stuff isn't maybe important, but that's the kind of stuff that gives us, it gives us next level stuff about the character. It makes us invested in them as real people, as opposed to just hitting the notes of the story, you know, kind of thing. And that's what makes a really, really good story.
I thought Black Hammer was good, to be honest. I mean, you think about it, anything Jeff Lemire has written that you feel attached to. This is why I was really attached to Old Man Logan for a little while. Same thing attached to Black Hammer. It had these subtle nuances of these characters, you know, actions and their characteristics. And I just really, really appreciate this book. And again, it goes back to my love of Essex County, which I think a lot of people need to check out if you want something that's, very, very poignant and very, very emotional and, very real life kind of, I think that's a really good book to jump into. You won't be disappointed. I remember being so against ever reading Essex County for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because I heard so much great things about it. I was like, oh, whatever, everybody's hyping this up. And then I finally decided to read samples of it. And I was like immediately drawn in that I had to go and get my own copy. And I remember loving it.
Yeah. I still need to read it.
Yeah. And Sweet Tooth earlier.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't read it yet either, but I have it now, so I can read it. So
awesome.
Fred, how's it going, sir?
It is going. I'm sorry for being late.
Oh, hey, no problem. No problem. We just got impatient. We weren't sure how long we were going to make it with our cold medicine before we'd be knocked out. So we get fired. So we're not doing any kind of order. We're just talking about our books we would feel like talking about, whatever is the highlight of the week or the last couple of weeks or whatever. So Fred, what was the highlight? What's the book?
The highlight for me?
Yeah.
It's kind of not unexpected seeing how I've tweeted about it probably 4 or 5 times since it got announced. 102.
Yes, Thor.
Jason Aaron's amazing run on this book. It delves back into who is Jane Foster versus who is Thor now, and whether or not she should relinquish the hammer. And it's Odinson dealing with the fact that he's come to terms with his addiction to the hammer's power. And being without it for so long, he realizes the attachment, and he sees Jane going through the same things he went through. Meanwhile, Mangog is still attacking Asgard, and he just gets to the Bifrost, and he's staring down Heimdall.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's a good exploration of the character. There's a lot going on, but Aaron balances it very well. But it's just my favorite book coming out of Marvel right now.
Cool. So they're implying that she's addicted to the hammer. Because she's got a whole other issue though, right? Being mortal and having cancer. So her attachment to the hammer has got a whole another level of weight to it, doesn't it?
That's something she's been struggling with, because at first she didn't, when it was Thor, like at the beginning of Aaron's run, when they introduced the cancer, want an Asgardian solution to the cancer. She wants Earth medicine to take care of it. And it's the revelation that the hammer expels the chemo from her body. Now she's becoming it's a duality between she feels all this responsibility that she has because of the hammer, that she feels like she needs to take care of. It's kind of like that doctor responsibility she had where she's like, I can fix people. And as Thor, I should be able to fix these problems in the 9 realms. While she keeps pushing off the issues that plague Jane Foster, like the issue focuses on how she skipped out on a chemo treatment to arm wrestle Hercules to have him join the fight in the 9 realms, like get the Olympians involved. But Thor Odinson points out that Hercules was going to join anyways. You didn't have to arm wrestle him. Like that was you using your powers again when you should have been at chemo. And he's like, the world needs Jane Foster's healing touch, even with the frailty of her morality at this point, as much as it needs a hammer-wielding thunder god. Because like the subtlety of a mortal's view on the world is just as important as a god's. And in some way, it's also his selfishness being like, I want my hammer
Exactly.
back.
I was going to ask how much of that is motivated by his own desires.
It's a little bit of it, but Thor, especially after he touches the ultimate hammer and realizes what it can do, and then seeing what it does to Volstagg, he was very wary of hammers now. He's like, I could fix all of this, but he's like, I feel like I'm losing Jane Foster to the hammer the way I lost myself to the hammer.
Okay.
Because when he loses it, he goes into withdrawal. Like he loses his arm, he becomes reckless. And he's like, I can see her becoming reckless with the hammer.
So do you see, reading it, do you see an inevitable, she's going to give up the hammer and he's going to get it back?
Yeah, especially because they've been teasing the death of Jane Foster. It's called The Death of the Mighty Thor is the name of the arc. And at the end, I didn't really want to spoil it, but at the end of the issue, she's yelling at Odin, who's in the Odin sleep. He locked himself away. And she's yelling at him. And his brother, the god of fear, who's the snake from like fear itself,
right,
in charge of Asgard. and she's yelling at Odin, and then Odin comes out and she berates Odin to his face, and she like calls for the end of the lineage and that like Asgard needs a new ruler, especially with the way that Sir is messing everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she collapses because like Freya emerges and she's been in like an Odin-esque sleep because she's been poisoned by Loki. She comes out and says, listen to the mortal, like listen to what she has to say. Like no one says outright that she's Thor, and Freya knows that she's Thor because she made Jane Thor. But she's like, listen to her. She has wisdom that we don't have because we're up too high. And they turn around and Jane's just laying on the ground.
Wow.
And then it's cut from that to Magog at the doorway, like at the Bifrost. And Heimdall's like, things are going to get a lot more difficult around here because he has to take him on first after he's already beaten Volstagg to a pummel, like to a pulp. And Volstagg had a hammer.
Mm.
And you like even see the follow-up for Volstagg, and like he is in a full body cast in a coma, and they're like trying to heal him with magic and nothing's working.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to see Jane die, huh? I thought maybe at some point she would relent to having the Asgardian magic fix her so she could go on with her life.
I'm not sure. I know they're doing that like the Pieta with the way they did Captain Marvel when he died of cancer.
Right.
In Death's Arms. That's been the like previews use that as their cover image. That's been a poster for a lot of stuff. I think they're going that route, especially because this cover that I got is the one where it's the weird watercolor, but it's you see Jane in the middle of the Thor.
Right.
So Aaron's built it up to a point where I don't want to see her die, but at the same point in time, like if she doesn't, I feel like I'll be equally disappointed. Like I think he might do it.
I so have to get this stuff. I mean, I screwed up and didn't pick it up in singles, and so I've been kind of dragging feet. Now I'm waiting to kind of see what's the best version of this that they put out besides just trades. Yeah. I mean, will it get a better version? Because I just hear way too many of you guys talking about how awesome it is. Every time I have a conversation with somebody about it, it sounds really, really cool.
I only come on when Thor comes out, like that week.
Right. So I really want to read it. So now I'm thinking, if it's this good, I want to get like, I don't know, a hard copy version or something. You know, what's the best version? You know, the trade of it that'll come out.
I mean, hopefully they do like an omnibus for him. Like even if it's a set of omnibuses for Aaron's run, like divided out like the first 4 trades he had of God of Thunder.
Yeah.
Do like the pre-Secret Wars Goddess of Thunder run, and then do like a couple collections for the Mighty Thor post Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Would probably be the best way they could collect it.
Mm.
Just like story chunks, like beyond the trade, because a couple of them were like more than trade worth.
Right.
And like this War of the Nine Realms has been going for at least maybe like close to a dozen issues at this point.
Mike says that they should put it in goat skin.
That would work too.
Not just hardcover. Not just hardcover. It needs to be goat skin. Yeah. Well, cool. Sounds really good. Sounds really good. Like I said, every time I hear people talk about it, I'm like, I just so screwed up not picking that up. Should have known that it wasn't just a gimmick. They actually got to do something with it. All righty. What else do you want to talk about?
I guess we could talk about Sherlock and Frankenstein.
Sure.
I think she was a tad bit better, I think.
You think it was a tad bit better?
Yeah, not so much more, but just a little bit. I mean, it's better than the first 2 issues, that's for sure. But I still don't feel like I really care.
Yeah, it's not needed material. It's not needed material, and it doesn't have the weight. It doesn't have the weight that that the Black Hammer has, right?
Yeah, I think a large reason too is because there's villains, there's superheroes, but no one really. I mean, like in all actuality, we were. It's revealed to us that Frankenstein was really trying to help Black Hammer, but it doesn't hold any weight to us really caring about Frankenstein or his mission or this secret meeting that he held, or why Lucy is tracking down every single villain to figure this out. It just I don't care. I want to go back to the regular title, quite frankly.
Yeah, which we still have a long time before it comes out, right?
I know, but a dreamer can dream.
I think there's another mini. There's another mini series before the regular title comes out. It has to do with the guy that that our reporter girl talks to, the doctor, whatever his name is. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's truly filler. It really, I mean, as much as we call a lot of comics filler, I mean, this really is. It's just filling a gap until we get the real book back and whatnot. I see the Comic to Comics on, and he said that he dropped this. He loved Black Hammer, but he dropped this because it's just boring. And it kind of is. I mean, it's interesting to see what else is out there, but there's nothing compelling about it. This is not a compelling story. You know, so as much as you were talking about Royal City being written by Jeff Lemire and it being just, oh, this great thing, and Black Hammer being this great thing. This, whatever. And this is a paint by numbers kind of a thing. So
yeah, I think it's for those who are obviously waiting in between the new Black Hammer to come back out. So this is filler for sure. Yeah. A filler kind of comic. So me personally, I'm kind of glad I'm reading it because it was like a waste collecting it. The copy.
It is. It's kind of. It definitely is. I mean, and the whole reveal in this that the Minotaur is a African American woman. She's all acting shocked. Well, we aren't shocked because we have no investment in any of this to know. If they had gone if we had gotten to read great stories of Black Hammer and the Minotaur fighting all these times over years worth, and then suddenly we get the reveal that it's a woman in there, well, then that might have been shocking or surprising or whatever. But
it came out patronizing, if you ask me.
Oh, did it? I don't know if it did that. I just didn't care. I was like, okay, that's nice.
Well, for me, it did it because I felt like, why couldn't it be a woman?
Well, because we're all sexist, Rez. and women aren't powerful and wouldn't be a powerful thing, and that's why. That's why we were all supposed to be shocked.
Yeah. I was completely
unimpressed.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, but it also felt like that they were trying to create it as a shocking kind of a thing.
Like, oh my god!
Because she was shocked.
Let me clutch my pearls. Oh my god.
Exactly.
Oh no, female.
Yeah.
What does this world come to?
I'm gonna talk DC book real quick. Batman issue number 37. The double date. So Superman, Lois Lane, or actually Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Bruce and Selene all go on a double date together. They go to the county fair, and at the county fair, it is superhero night. So the only way you can get into the county fair is if you were dressed up as a superhero. And Catwoman is starving like right now. She has to eat right now. And so much to Bruce continuing to say no throughout the entire comic, they swap costumes and go into the county fair. Bruce is dressed as Superman. Superman is dressed as Batman, wearing his glasses. He wears his glasses over the cowl. And Lois goes as Catwoman. And Catwoman just wears Lois's slinky dress and meows at the ticket vendor until the ticket vendor lets her through. So it was this issue was cute. It was fun. I didn't think it was. I really liked the last issue. I love the whole elevator scene of both guys describing why they think the other guy is so important and such a great person, and that maybe they're not worthy to be their friends. Because I love that's the part I like about Superman and Batman together, is their friendship and all that kind of stuff. And this issue is fun and it had some of that in it, but it didn't have as much, it didn't feel as heavy as the other one was. But there's some great lines in here and stuff, and the whole baseball thing was kind of amusing, because these guys still have to be dudes and try to one up each other. Superman says that he could throw a ball and there's no way that Batman can hit it, and Batman's like, yeah, I can hit it. You
You
know,
know, there's the part where like if he throws it so fast that the ball breaks apart, it no longer counts because it's not a baseball
right?
anymore.
It's not a strike because it's dissolved. So yeah, it'll come apart the seams, so it won't be a baseball, so it can't be a strike. So I know I can hit it because he can only throw it so fast. Yes. So I still I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm loving all of this stuff now. This all works.
The fact that Selena and Lois become like best friends instantly, even though they're supposed to like be opposites.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're perfect together. You know, because they both have these ridiculous spouses or soon to be spouses that are, you know, just larger than life, living in a completely weird world and whatnot, and they just kind of roll with it. So yeah, I know. I did really enjoy it.
It for me, like I didn't really like a lot of King's earlier stuff on Batman.
Yes.
The Fudd issue I enjoyed, like the Elmer Fudd special.
Yeah.
And then these last two, like when he takes Batman out of like trying to be Batman in Gotham, and just sets him against like a different backdrop, I enjoyed it more.
Yeah, same here. I mean, you clearly you go back to issue 1 of this and whatnot. You can see shows of me ranting about how much I hate the comic, that it makes no sense, that the voice is totally wrong, you know, all of that. But yeah, here the last couple arcs, it just really feels like, you know, once he's decided to do this whole courtship thing with Catwoman, it really has kind of I don't know. It's got a vision or a focus or something, or like you said, you know, it's having him be something else, and all of it's really, you know, really great. That Elmer Fudd issue is just, for being a one-shot kind of off the wall lark of a comic book, it is so off the hook good. I just that issue is just incredible. But I'm enjoying Batman now. I'm really happy to say I'm enjoying Batman because it's just being something different.
I think we're like the rest of the run, he was trying to shape the world and Batman together, like to fit his idea. This current one, he's like he was trying to shape Batman to be what he wanted Batman to be.
Right.
Now he's shaping the world around him to make the Batman what he wants him to be.
That could be.
And it's working a little better. Like he's making him married. Him and Superman's interactions are kind of like how they would be. Like he's kind of trying to keep that familiarity and then slowly introducing his ideas instead of out of the gate his ideas.
Yeah, I don't know that he knew what the hell he was doing to begin with either, to be quite frankly.
Yeah.
Whereas all the stories he's done up to this point have all been a contained, you know, Omega Man, it's a contained story. The Vision, it's a contained story. You know, Sheriff Babylon's a contained story. You know, he already knows where the ending of all it is. And I don't know, I almost feel like when he started Batman, it was this giant open thing that, you know, questionably you can only do so much with, you know, kind of a thing. I think they're giving him more leash. I think that's why we're seeing the whole "Let's Get Married to Catwoman" storyline. Is I think DC's giving him a bigger leash to do what he wants to do. You know, so
I just want to know, given that he named the first few runs like "I Am Gotham," "I Am Suicide," is this going to be like the "I Am Engaged" arc, and then the "I Am Married" comes next?
I don't know.
Like, I can see him naming the trades that. They just flow together.
Do you really think they're going to get married? I mean, do you think there's actually going to be vows exchanged, rings, and?
Do you want my hopes or do you want the cynical geek?
I'll give me both. What?
Because I kind of hope he goes through with it, but the cynical geek knows that like as soon as it's inconvenient, they're just going to retcon the entire thing anyways.
Right. Well, they'll do something like when Green Arrow got married to Black Canary. Oh, it was a doppelganger.
Yeah.
You know, the real Green Arrow, the real Ollie is, you know, was off in a prison someplace, and you got married to some monster instead or whatever. Yeah.
Or they'll change it to like, oh, she was as like an inside operative for somebody the whole time.
Yeah. So Mass Panther's saying, yeah, Batman wedding issue coming soon for $14.99. Yeah. I'm sure. Well, that'll definitely be, they'll hype the daylights out of that if they're actually going to go through with you know, with those kind of vows. I don't know. I just can't believe they're going to actually do it. I mean, it's cool if they do. It's cool if they do. All I know is that if they're going to wreck it, they better wreck it the right way. It better not be dumb. You know, it better be crushing and whatever it needs to be, you know.
An assassination at the altar.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, what else we want to talk about? Reds, you got other things you want to talk about?
Wildstorm.
Wildstorm. Yes. Issue number 10.
Yeah, I like this issue. I felt like the previous issue was a little bit better for me because we learned the origin story of that one like counterintelligence kind of like double triple spy guy. I really enjoyed that, but this issue wasn't bad because we see the mention of Cray, which we both don't really care for. We don't care for that title, but we learned that the reason why he's able to have the death finger, the death touch, is because of these reptilian aliens that are implanted in his brain. So I'm curious to know what and who are the reptilian aliens? What threat do they pose? And I'm kind of wondering more about this war that's going to break out now that this guy who is in charge of the
Skylab.
Skylab. I want to know.
Yeah.
After he decides to start killing some people off and Skywatch, is it?
Skywatch, yeah.
Yeah, Skywatch, when he wants to kill some people off in IO, I want to see what's going to happen, what's going to go down. Because honestly, it's really good. And one thing I noticed with Warren Ellis is I noticed that when I'm reading a lot of his stories, they all seemed to kind of have that same tone, same language usage, to where they sometimes it can be where they feel like they're virtually the same, like all the characters are the same. It's all this hardcore science fiction talk that, like, for instance, reading Injection, reading Wildstorm, reading Shipwreck, reading all those. When you're reading all those books, you notice that the way it feels, they all kind of feel so similar. So I guess in a way, it's good that we're getting it out in spaced out parts and spaced out formats. But at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm reading Injection in a way. I don't know. Maybe
there are elements. This issue wasn't a strong issue for me because it was a lot more. Let's move the pieces around on the chessboard to start the next thing that's going to happen, kind of a thing. So there's a lot of talk and not a lot of actually anything happen, kind of a deal for sure. I want to address something. I see that Mike's commenting in the comments. That how far ahead is Hunt on art? That this hasn't been delayed. Now, when he did the Clean Room, he was never delayed on the Clean Room. He did the first year total. He did not get off of that book until he was already scheduled to be on this book. I have never seen Davis Hunt late on a book. Just to let you know, Mike. The only reason he wasn't on art for the other one is because DC moved him off of that book because that book wasn't selling, to have him do this book because they wanted to do this book. Yeah, I'm sure he's out in front on it, but it's not a matter of him being. I'm assuming at some point he's going to want to take a break. I mean, he's on issue 10, so I don't know what happens then. But I don't know as far as that goes. If he's going to do 24 issues straight without taking a break, I have no idea. But I thought the whole Cray thing was interesting. That he's still kind of this manipulated player, even though Cray doesn't realize it from his own book, which I'm still reading painfully. But yeah, like I said, I like the story overall. This issue, I wasn't super excited by the end of it because it was a bunch of moving pieces and nothing. We get a little more Jenny Sparks in this one, but I still don't know that it gives us enough to really have some kind of understanding as to what she really is. Yeah. This was kind of one of those issues that kind of showed us a bunch of stuff, but didn't move it, didn't really, nothing actually.
And it tell the story that much more forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when I read this, I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm blown away by this issue. I feel like I just didn't care. And I think it's just indicative of what they decided to go along with the story. I think too, also the mention of Cray, at this point I can care less because the book is not really it's less than stellar.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
Right now, like I can care less about Cray. I mean, I did care more about him before we had got introduced to the actual his spinoff. But now it's like, okay, we don't care about Cray. We don't see him. We don't. What's the point?
Right. Yeah, it was almost like it was a name drop just to say,
Exactly.
Oh hey, that's hilarious, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
like I know Tom Cruise. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Fred, what else you want to talk about?
This one I picked up like a couple months ago, simply as a guilty pleasure. But Wonder Woman Conan the Barbarian #4.
Oh, nice. So how is that?
Newest issue. It's actually really good. Like I just read the first volume, like the omnibus volume for Conan, the Busiek one.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and that one gets kind of slow, but this one's pretty solid so far. It follows obviously Conan and Wonder Woman. They start off in the fighting pits. This issue, like Conan's still trying to convince Wonder Woman she's a kid from his childhood, like his childhood crush who like moved away. But
of course.
But she finally comes to realize that she's Diana, the Amazonian princess.
Right.
And they're in a bar, and she passes out after drinking like too much mead or like ale or whatever because she's never had it before.
Really?
Meanwhile, Conan's like, she doesn't remember having it. Like she's lost her memory. It's all altered and stuff due to magic. Meanwhile, Conan's still just like hammering down meat and like drinks and stuff. And they're shackled together after being put on a slaver ship. And they're trying to figure out a way to break the chains. She comes to realize who she is, breaks the chains, and then they fight the entire bar full of people. Because they kind of want to have their way with this unconscious woman. And Conan's like, no. So she picks up the entire table and like throws it across the room, taking guys out. Conan picks up a sword and they just go to town. She deflects an arrow with the bracelets that go on for Conan's head. And at the end of it, it's there are these two witches that are after them. But it ends with Conan as a child having a flashback to the fact that the girl he thinks is Diana falls off a cliff after being like stabbed by some enemies that were attacking their village. Like they run away from home and come across some bad guys. And she falls off a cliff.
Mm.
But it's for a cheap crossover, it's not bad.
I just can't envision the two of them together. So,
I mean, up until this point, they hadn't really treated her as Wonder Woman. They treated her more as like the warrior woman. But it's because of her memory loss. Now she remembers that she's Diana and she's like all these superpowers. And like her costume kind of shifts to look more like the Wonder Woman costume, and she like realizes she's a superhero.
And that's Gail Simone that's writing that, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, like I've read her Red Sonja stuff before.
Sure.
Like I have one volume, so it kind of reads a little bit like that. But then like this, she like the super heroics kick in, and it's a lot. It's just a fun romp in like that high fantasy.
I always enjoyed her Wonder Woman. I read her run of Wonder Woman as it was coming out when she was on Wonder Woman. I always enjoyed it. So, yeah, cool. Well, I want to talk briefly about Doctor Strange, issue 338, with this wonderful cover, right? That is the Giving Tree, right? That is the Giving Tree, right?
That is.
Which that story as an adult emotionally scars me, but whatever. Just how the poor tree gives its entire life away to this stinking kid that just wants more and more. Anyway, so interesting cover as far as that goes. So I'm really loving this story. I mean, in this issue, we finally get explained how it is that Loki beat Doctor Strange to become the new Sorcerer Supreme.
Is literally that supposed to be like that when they explain it? Is that supposed to be a Triumph and Torment, like that old, like that book? Is that supposed to be like the parody of that, or like a take on that?
You could certainly see it as that, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's the same competition.
Right. Right. You know, because basically he beats everybody, thinks he's still going to be the Sorcerer Supreme, and they're like, no, you're not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore. We're giving it to this guy over here. Loki just happened to show up to watch the show because he'd heard about it. So he's just going to come and watch the fights, you know, and he's like, wait, I don't think I should be, you know, Loki even says, no, you shouldn't give this to me, you know, and they basically explain, you know, that, they basically explain that, no, look, you're arrogant, you're entitled, you know, just the fact you're raging or the fact you didn't win this is proof enough that you aren't good of heart. Whereas Loki, yes, has had a shady past, but Loki is repentant. Loki is trying to fix everything. Loki's trying to be a good person. That's who we want to be the Sorcerer Supreme, especially with what's coming. And he's like, wait, what's coming? And of course, we never hear what's coming, you know, kind of a thing. Comics to Comics asking who's the current creative team on Doctor Strange. It is Donny Cates is writing it, and the art team is the same art team that was on the Vision. So it is Gabriel Walta and Jody Blair are on art on the book. So it definitely has elements that look, because Walta has a definite look to how he does characters and stuff. At one point, as a matter of fact, in this issue, Doctor Strange whips out his third eye, and he almost looks like the Vision in a way, just because, like he has the gem on his head, but instead he has the third eye.
Yeah.
But I really like the book. I like the story. He comes up with this plan to sneak into Asgard. He's taken who is it, Superior?
Sentry.
Oh, the Sentry. He's brought the Sentry along with him, as basically kind of a distraction, kind of a thing.
It's Siege all over again.
Right. And he knows it too. It's like, oh yeah, I know if I bring him in there, the Asgards are just gonna freak. They're all gonna like, whoa.
He has a line about it too. It's besides the Sentry has a rather long streak of assaulting Asgard in one form or another.
Right. And so while he's doing that, of course, he's gonna sneak into the tree, the magical tree, because he just needs to borrow a small little piece. To do what he needs to do, because he needs to stop Loki from, he's concerned it's going to kill his loved one, potentially kill Zelda. And the whole thing with the dog still just crushes me. And I'm not even that big of a dog fan. And I'm like, oh man. So the tree wants a sacrifice. Doctor Strange has been dragging around this big old duffel bag with him. He opens the duffel bag up, and it's the corpse of his dog friend from being a veterinarian that Loki kind of accidentally killed. Well, pushed the dog hard enough. The dog was an old dog and died of a heart attack. And they accept his offering, and now he's like gonna be uber, we accept your offering, so now he's gonna be uber powerful, it seems like. So, and he's gonna go get his effing cloak back.
I just like the fact that he bursts into the throne room expecting Odin, and he's just like, why is nothing right up here?
Right. Because the brother-in-law, is the...
Yeah, it's Sir.
Yeah. He's like, wait. And he's like, as soon as he starts talking to the guy, he goes, clearly this guy is not somebody I'm going to negotiate with. This is just a mess. So, yeah. I like it. I like Loki. I mean, so I'm excited for that. And so far, I'm liking this creative team. I like their take on, what they've been left with for the Doctor Strange book. So yeah.
First two issues for this were kind of slow for me. I wasn't really sure if I was going to feel it. I think they kind of swung me by bringing in Asgard. I'm not going to say I'm biased, but that may have helped.
Yeah. Well, see, now it's time for those first issues because, like I said, I'm a Loki fan. I like this version of Loki, so right. I was on board for that part of it too. Plus, the fact I was amused by the fact that he had reduced himself to being a veterinarian entertained me too. So, yeah. Right. What else? What else do we want to talk about?
I got Hulk number 711.
What is going on in the Hulk? Is the Hulk still Cho?
Yeah. So I haven't been reading Hulk. I picked this one up because I heard Thor was in it. And I was like, oh, cool, Thor. Turns out they're redoing Planet Hulk in a way, but they're using Amadeus Cho. I just came in, this is the first issue of Hulk I picked up with Cho in it. I'm halfway through a storyline right now. I don't know what's happening. It's they're redoing Planet Hulk, and if you've read Planet Hulk, you know what's happening in this story, except instead of a rage monster, it's this guy who's cool with being the Hulk who doesn't want to kill anybody in a gladiator fight. And it's not until the last page that they introduce Thor as the mysterious competitor, then suddenly it's Thor Ragnarok. But it's Odinson without the hammer.
Does he say, hey, I know this guy from work? Does he say that line too?
You dare laugh, monster? Joke's on you. I know this guy. He's a friend from, and gets cut off because Thor punches him in the face.
That's awful.
But the armor looks cool though, and that's all that matters.
I don't care. That's awful. That's awful. You deliver movie lines in the comic like that. No,
if that wasn't the second to last page, I would have just dropped the comic right there. I'm gonna pick up 712 just because he's in it, but that's it. If he goes on any further, I'm done.
See, that's the kind of thing I don't like about comic book movies. You know,
Yeah.
the two are separate from each other and should stay separate from each other. Not, you know, the movies can mimic good storylines from comics. That's fine. But the comics should not be reflecting the movies.
Like,
Unless it is a comic about the movie. Cool. But don't just throw that stuff into a plot line in the regular comics.
I didn't even know they were redoing Planet Hulk. Like, why would, like, it's a seminal run on Hulk. It's everybody's favorite story. Why would you redo it?
Because people don't go back and read that old stuff. I guess.
Somehow, like, it feels worse, and I don't know how.
Right. I don't understand a lot of Marvel's thinking on the whole legacy stuff anyway. So, because that's a legacy title, right?
Yeah.
So they're going back and touching on the legacy of the good Hulk stuff, right? I don't know.
But, like, how much good Hulk stuff is there?
I'm not a Hulk fan, so I don't know.
Neither am I. I just, like I said, someone online was like, Thor's in it. I'm like, okay, cool. Put that on the list.
Yeah.
I can remember when I walked in my shop, I was like, oh, look, the Hulk's on the shelf.
Hey, Rez, you want to talk Redlands? Did you read Redlands?
I didn't get to Redlands. Nope.
Oh!
I know. I totally forgot it, man. I'm surprised I did.
I really like it. I continue to really like it. This issue kind of touches on the whole possession thing from the last issue. We get some back history back at Miami way back in the day. In this issue, it starts at the beginning of it starts out with a truck driver picking up this young redhead. You know inevitably what's going to happen. You pick up a young redhead. A truck driver picks up a young redhead out in the dark on the street. Right, he tries to have his way with her, and she's not really a redhead. She's some dude who's got some powers and makes the guy chop off his nose and then the guy who makes him chop off his nose, he eats the guy's nose, and he's like dad or something of the witches. We get the impression by the end of the book. There's some crazy stuff going on there. There's, like I said, there was the whole stuff of the possession, which is really coolly drawn. I thought I can't really show it on here because someone will flag the video because it's got all kinds of nakedness and whatnot of them kind of being in water and our witch that got clonked on the head that's been possessed. She's having a conversation with the woman who's possessed her, saying, "Look, you can use my body for now to seek your revenge because I'm all about women having power and getting revenge. But when you're done with that, I want my body back. And if you don't willingly give me my body back, I am going to eat your soul. I am going to own you forever." So it's like, you can use me for now, but at some point I'm taking my body back, and you better just give it to me. So there's some cool stuff in there. And stuff, and then it kind of sets up this whole dad's there. And then there's this back matter stuff, which is this handwritten about a girl hanging out with her dad, and then her dad slowly, you find out he's skeezy, and he, like, I don't know, sells her off to a brothel, and she ends up being a prostitute and some horrible stuff like that. So Susie and the Banshee references in it, but I don't know. I really like the story. Every issue of Redlands is better than the last issue, and that excites me. That it wasn't like my mind blown on the first issue and then kind of slowly slides down. Each issue builds really well. It adds to the environment, to the structure, to the characters in a really good way, and so I continue to like it more and more. So makes them happy.
I'll bring that issue.
You should.
I definitely will.
Righty, what else do you want to talk about?
I think that's all the books I read this week.
Fred, you got any others you want to talk about?
I had two others that are worth talking about. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Deadpool versus Old Man Logan.
Deadpool. Oh.
The bane of existence.
Go ahead.
I think this only ended up in my pull list because of I had been reading the main title. I dropped that, but I'm still reading Old Man Logan, but I'm not really reading it. It's like I forgot to take that off my pull because it's not very good right now. Like, that's in the stack of books I read, but after the original creative team dropped off and they got the new team, it's just gone downhill.
So they got Martino and Lemire on Old Man Logan.
Yeah, it's Breeson and Deodato on it now.
Dave Donald's art is not bad though. I like
it's not bad, but it's the story is just not there. But this is the third issue. It follows Logan and Deadpool trying to track down a new mutant who, like, a Weapon X type group is trying to use for her powers. And it's they walk into a trap, and Wolverine's like, I should have known better. And they start like throwing cars and buses at them to try to like take them out on this testing field. And they finally take them out with like this burning airplane. Like they just appear from the sky. They're using the girl to teleport, like in an she can teleport objects that aren't living. Like, and she even tries doing a plant, and it's a plastic cactus that appears. But then they take Logan, like they bring him on to the facility. They take Logan and run tests on him, and she teleports like Logan's skeleton, because it's all metal, and puts it in Deadpool's body.
I have to say one thing. Why is Logan always gets operated on somehow? Always,
Yeah.
you know, like the movies or the comics, this dude's always suffering at the hands of a scientist.
Right. But I think the entire, I don't know why they're doing this cross. Like, it's not even verses anymore. They've been working together since issue 1. Like, the only verses they had was like each one's trying to save the girl.
Because
in a different
everything
way.
Deadpool is versus something. Deadpool is always versus everything. That's just one more layer of the gimmick, the shallow gimmick that is Deadpool.
We need to keep him relevant.
The valueless, shallow gimmick that is Deadpool.
We need to keep him relevant because we have like another year until another movie comes out. So remember, he's around.
There's nothing relevant about
No.
about Deadpool anymore.
The only funny thing, though, is at the end, he gets the adamantium skeleton and he gets the claws and everything. And he's like, this is it. This is my only chance to do the Snicks line. And he screws it up and he's like, damn it. He's like, I've always wanted Snicked. But I can't. I'm not saying it was hysterical. I just thought it was a cute line.
I am so not the Deadpool fan.
Neither am I. Like, but he's not like he had been in the main title where he's just like throwing jokes out there and references and trying to get him to stick. They've really drawn him back. He's not to the point where he was before, where he would like occasionally drop a joke and he'd be like a cool action movie star. But it's not an okay middle ground, but it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So it's semi-tolerable for me. But knowing my taste, it's like garbage for everybody else.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's a fluke it ended up in my box. But
I want to briefly talk about Copperhead. This is Copperhead issue number 17. Largely a fight between the genetically created mercenary versus the evil dad, and then the sheriff versus the evil dad's new girlfriend. Are kind of knocking each other around for most of the comic. That's what most of it is. The biggest thing I want to talk about is at the end of this issue, it says to be concluded. And I just wonder if anybody out there who ends up watching this, let me know, is Copperhead done? I mean, we got one more issue and it's done, or is it to be concluded with this storyline? I'm just kind of curious because I didn't think it was ending per se. But this hasn't been as strong as like the original, I don't know, 12 issues of it, but I'm still really enjoying it. So I'm just kind of curious as to if somebody knows something I don't know about it. So yeah, I don't know. Very curious. What else you got, Fred?
Last one I have is Dark Knight's Metal number 4. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier.
No.
I know you don't read it.
Right. And Rez doesn't either. Yeah.
All right.
So how's it going? This is the main title, right?
The main title, unlike those copies of the side books I've been trying to give you for months, is good. Like this one focuses more on Dream of the Endless. But
Really?
this is it continues from when Sandman left off. So this is Dream's quote unquote reincarnated form.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Dream explaining like the backstory of the main villain and where he came from and why Nth Metal is so important. And then he creates a magic portal to where Batman and Superman can finally like craft an item to defeat the main villain. It's
I have a hard time swallowing a book where you have some version of Morpheus explaining how the superhero reality works. It's just making my head hurt.
All he does is really re-explain Morrison's idea of like the antimatter and matter universe. And like how like at the beginning, like there was in the multiverse, there was like this one super bad guy, and like it took a really, really good guy to stop him. Yeah. And he did it using the nth metal. And that like there's a place where they can get enough nth metal to defeat him, and that's where they have to go.
Okay.
But like the really bad guy can like find where they are. So Morpheus is just gonna like send them there as safely as possible because he's like, I'm one of the endless. I can't actually get involved. He's supposed to be like one of like he's kind of supposed to be like the Watcher.
Sure. Right.
But he's like, I'm gonna do what the Watcher does and just cheat a little bit. But he's mostly just used for the dream library. He goes into the library and like instead of using Lucian, you get Morpheus.
Okay. See, I think Biggie Halls is here, and he's saying that he's interested in metal, but he'll wait for a absolute hardcover or something like that because he doesn't want to hunt down all the single issues at this point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I am. I mean, I'm curious to hear what people have to say about it. If I can find it in trade at a discount someplace.
Yeah. If you can get it in trade, just go with the main title. All those side books that like I have because I'm dumb are not worth shit outside of the Dan Abnett Aquaman one.
Well, isn't the Laughs one? There's one something Laughs.
The Man Who Laughs?
Yeah. Is that part of the main title?
No, that's one of the side stories.
But everybody keeps talking about how that's just awesome.
It's just really edgy.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I can summarize it real quick. I know it.
That's okay. I mean, that's fine. I just know people keep talking about it, so I've always been kind of curious.
It's because it's like the darkest of all the backstories, and like it's Batman becomes the Joker. Ooh.
Okay. I
Shock
see.
factor.
Yeah.
And because it's named after that one book that they wrote called The Man Who Laughs.
Of course. Okay, I see. Alrighty. Yeah. I don't really have any other books that I'm hankering to talk about because I'm starting to lose my voice and I want to be done before I'm totally scratchy. Any other comic book news we feel like we want to talk about? I hear that Ed Bendis's eye is getting better. I don't know if people knew. He ended up getting like Mercer in one of his eyes, and he like he was hospital like in ICU multiple times, was having all kinds of problems. I guess he's back at home now, doing better. Saw a picture of him today. He's got a big old gnarly eye patch. Because I know a lot of us are kind of waiting to see, what's going to be the DC title. What's he working on for DC? We know what's winding down at Marvel, but we don't know what he's doing for DC. So hopefully that's coming sooner. He says what he's been going through has delayed it a little bit, but I am curious. I'm not like a huge Bendis fan, but I'm just from a whole kind of production standpoint, what do they put him on, and what kind of a leash do they give him? How quickly do they start treating him the same way Marvel treated him, as being like this kind of person that just does what he wants to do? Largely, he influenced large chunks of the Marvel universe. So kind of curious to see what, where they'd put him at. That's an interesting thought. Biggie Halls was saying they'd like to see maybe him be on Wonder Woman. I have no idea what that would be like.
This is Michael Bryan, right? You're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. I'm still inclined that I want to see a woman do Wonder Woman. But
I mean, based off of how he wrote Jessica Jones, I don't think he would do any justice to Wonder Woman personally, but it's just me.
I liked his Spider Woman though.
I mean, I haven't read his Spider Woman, but I mean, I was reading Jessica Jones up until at least 2 trades for Worth, and it declined steadily.
Yeah. Other news, of course, we now found out there's like 6 or 7 comics that are getting canceled.
Ooh, what fun.
From Marvel. It seems to be kind of a purge of the diverse books you know, Hawkeye's going, Iceman's going, America's going.
Are you surprised about America since that you have picked up that #1?
I picked up 3 issues of it. No, and here's my thing about America. Love the character, love the ideas that were in the book. I just, and I have nothing. I know there's lots of people who have all kinds of problems with shoot, I can't remember her name right now. The writer of the book. I think they needed either a stronger editor on the book or something, because I think she's struggling to write a comic book. To me, what I didn't like about the comic was the structure of how it was written and how it was kind of put together. Mm-hmm. I just think it's somebody who doesn't have enough experience writing comic books, is what it felt to me like. It's like when China Minerva, who I think is an excellent writer, was writing Dial H, the DC book, Dial H, back in the day. It struggled at times because, especially initially, because it was their first comic book, and I think you need a stronger editor to help glue things together. I mean, that's what the editor has to do, and I don't think it was there. So my problem with America was never the way the character was handled. It was never the secondary characters. It was never the fact that they were at a school called what's the Latin American Supreme Court Justice? Sotomayor. It's like the Sotomayor, Academy. I loved all that stuff. All that stuff was cool. I dug that, all that stuff. It wasn't structured well. And I don't know about I think it's a crime that Hawkeye's going away. That book is excellent. That book has better action and comedy timing in that book than most other superhero type books. They would love to be able to accomplish half of that, in my opinion, I think. So it's unfortunate that book's going away, that they couldn't find, a good enough audience for that and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Some of the books that are surviving that people are pointing out as to why they're surviving, even though the direct market sales aren't well, their secondary market is really good. Those, the Devil Dinosaur, Moon Girl, and Squirrel Girl, those have scholastic sales that are like crazy. Their book market for those books are awesome. So those will stay around. But I don't know. The upside is when books get canceled, that means there's room for something new. And maybe the next new thing's going to have a better creative team, and hit the right kind of notes and whatnot. I could go on for a long time about the fact I think that both DC and Marvel need to do a better job of trying to sell their books. They rely too much on the comic book shops to try and sell their books, and don't give the comic book shop people the right information that they need to then turn around and try and sell the books to the people that are walking in the store. That, in my opinion. So I don't know. Any other newsy type things that?
I know Jim Starlin left Marvel.
Yes, because he's getting screwed, right?
Yeah. It from what I've seen, especially I've seen a couple of screenshots of his Facebook posts and tweets. He's more pissed at Marvel editorial, even though he's talking about. What was that?
What were they doing to him?
So what I've gathered is he wrote a trilogy of graphic novels, which Marvel never puts out straight graphic novels.
Right.
He has a trilogy for Thanos, a new storyline. They tell the Thanos siblings, or the Infinity siblings, something like that, which is still going to come out. He finished the scripts. They've already picked an artist. They're already working on it. But while he was doing that, he came out with an idea for an ongoing series. I think it was a Thanos. I don't have 100% on that. And he pitched it to Marvel Editorial, and they denied him. He didn't quit because of that. He's like, okay, it's no big deal. They don't want to do it. Another writer came forward and pitched an exact, almost the same exact idea, and they greenlit that idea.
Ah.
And if it's Thanos, I can understand why he'd be ticked, because he's written that character and one of the most influential writers on that character.
Well, he created it, right?
Did he? I thought somebody else created him, and he elevated him. But
yeah, I don't know. I guess
he's written some of Thanos' best stories.
Right. Well,
So,
he's written the stuff they're using in the movies.
Exactly. And then he's like, as a side note, some of the movie stuff, like DC's paid him better for some of the smaller characters he's made than Marvel's paid him for some of the bigger name characters they're using.
Right. He has like some secondary character was like in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, they referenced KG Beast.
Right.
Who he helped make.
Right. So that's a reference. He wasn't even really even in it. They referenced that. He got paid more for that than he got paid for Thanatos showing up in the Marvel movies.
Like he had somebody so minor in Batman vs Superman, they didn't even mention who it was. And he got paid more for that than Marvel's paid him for stuff. Yeah. But he said that was all secondary as opposed to him being snubbed a writing gig, which he would have been fine with if it wasn't for the fact that Marvel greenlit the same idea.
Right. From somebody else.
Which makes me wonder, because I know Donny Cates is writing the current Thanos series. Does it have to do with that book?
Could be. Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what's coming down the pipeline if it is that book. I'm not reading Thanos right now. I've heard it's good.
I don't know if Mike's still on, if Sergeant America's still on. I know he was reading it, so.
I've been tempted to pick it up, but I wonder if that book's going to have what's causing all this.
I don't know.
That's another big name just leaving Marvel altogether.
Right.
Especially 6 months out from Infinity War. Less than that?
Yeah. Do you think that's enough bad press to affect that movie, though?
It's not, but for like the comic book community, it doesn't look good. For the mainstream movie-going community, nobody cares.
Yeah, right. Right. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I had heard. The only thing I'd caught wind of was the whole pay difference that I thought was pretty crazy.
Yeah. His big thing was his job as a writer. Sure. And he said like he has no hard feelings against Marvel in general, Marvel Cinematic, nothing. It's editorial that's a mess that he doesn't want to deal with anymore.
Yeah. Interesting. What else? Any other newsy type stuff? I can't think of anything else. Something else is like jumping out at me. So I think we're gonna call it a night. Well, I can still talk. I can feel the itchy in the back of my throat saying pretty soon I'm gonna lose my voice. So thanks, Rez, for coming on, even though you weren't feeling so well.
Yeah,
appreciate you being here. And Fred, as always, great to have you on. We'll see you next month when Thor comes out, right?
Yep.
Excellent. So with that, we'll call it out. Thank you for everybody who was in the comments, who commented. Always appreciate you coming on and watching the show. Anybody who watches this after the fact, appreciate it. Always leave comments if you'd like. Let us know what you're reading, what we missed on. Are we totally clueless on something? Always fun to have those conversations. And with that, we'll call it a night, and maybe I'll be back next week. We'll see what's going on. Anyway, have a great night, everybody. See you next time.